No, this is a good one. This says, hello everybody, thank you for posting this beneficial videos. My question is, I could not find Arimidex in my country and people advise me to use Proviron or zinc mineral, which has aromatase properties. Do you think it has the similar functions as an aromatase inhibitor? Okay. This is a great question because this goes into a lot of the misconceptions about Proviron and zinc. Proviron is a DHT-based drug, and for a lot of people, it's great. What it does, and I think why this, I don't know if it's a gentleman or a lady is bringing it up. I imagine it's a gentleman, but it is Proviron. See, the Proviron is methylated DHT, so it will not convert to estrogen. So that's what we're talking about here. It's not to be used necessarily as something that's going to block the conversion of testosterone into estrogen, but it's something that has actually very weak androgenic / anabolic effects compared to testosterone. But the advantage is we could use it in medicine as an early trial. I don't know anybody who does anymore. First of all, it's an oral, so it's not the preferred method of doing it. And plus, the fact that it's methylated is the whole reason why we dropped methylated testosterone. It works great in the sense that it takes the liver a while to break it down, but it works great in the sense that it takes the liver a lot to break it down, which makes the liver work too hard. And so we drop that one. But again, it doesn't convert to estrogen, so in that way it's good, but it really doesn't have that great an effect on libido, lack of energy, like everybody likes, or what everyone's seeking when they come to me for hormone replacement therapy. Zinc is great, and then we do have plenty of science behind the fact that it helps to reduce the production of estrogen to some degree. Not going to replace an AI or a suicide inhibitor or an estrogen blocker, but it is a great idea. I mean, now we're just going into general health optimization. It is a great idea for sure to use some zinc in your system, as long as you don't overdo it too much. And remember, zinc and copper sort of balance one another out. So if you're going to use a lot of zinc, you got to make sure you throw in some copper too. But I think the answer to the question is, can I use Proviron and or zinc to replace the use of an AI, in this case Arimidex? The answer would be no. If and he or she doesn't state the country he's in, I don't know, maybe search for something else, like one of these others we've mentioned before, exemestane, or even letrozole instead of an anastrozole. Or just plain old tamoxifen.
Yep.
Those are going to be better than Proviron or zinc. Remember, Proviron is not an estrogen blocker. It's just a substance, a DHT, that doesn't convert to estrogen.
Why do bodybuilders like it so much pre-contest?
Oh, that's an easy one. Because in my opinion, I've never used Proviron. I don't write for it, but what we know it does is it will lower SHBG.
What is that?
And this is the brilliance behind it, the sex hormone binding globulin. We can use things other than Proviron. We can use danazol, which is it's not an anabolic steroid. It's considered, I think it still is listed as an anabolic steroid, but that's quite frankly retarded. It's not an anabolic steroid. But what it does in a small amount is it raises your free testosterone, because your testosterone is bound by this sex hormone binding globulin. Okay, it lowers that, makes more of what you already have floating around, just not ready for use, available. And that's why, low doses of things like, let's say you used, let's call it 10 milligrams of oxandrolone, Anavar, okay? Most people would agree that these days, although remember, they used to make 2.5
2.5, yeah.
And people used to use that 3 times a day and get great results. But in today's world, most people would say, that's nothing in terms of anabolic effect compared to taking, the replacement dose of Anavar can range up to 40 milligrams. Meaning if you use that as your hormone replacement for a male, you go to 40 milligrams, that's considered hormone replacement value. Again, it all depends upon the numbers we get and how you feel more important than anything else, but that's a starting point. So if you used 1/4 of that, you're not going to get anything from the anavar difference, meaning it's way more anabolic than is testosterone, right? But what you do get is that reduction with just that little amount of anavar in sex hormone and binding globulin. So you're getting more juice for the squeeze. You're getting more, we've talked about this before, getting, 2% free to 3% free. That's a 50% increase.
Right.
And you could effectuate that with just a little bit of something that really in and of itself isn't going to do anything for you directly. Does that make sense? So in this, you just asked a separate question. It wasn't in regard to this person.
Yeah.
But I think that's why people use Proviron, because it has that effect of lowering sex hormone binding globulin. It's not, the DHT effect and all that. And I mean, it's nice not to have it convert to estrogen for a lot of people.
Yeah.
But I think what most people get out of it, and it's not to say that you don't get a little something out of DHT, it does put some lead in your pencil. I call it the caveman testosterone. It's not ideal because of the side effects you can get from DHT.
Yeah.
But I think what most people get out of it, whether it's pre-contest or not, is that reduction in sex hormone binding.
And most of the time, when people are pre-contest, they're also using anavar. So that combination is actually a good one.
In the sense that, there's no risk of conversion into estrogen from those. But that goes into probably, I think we talked about this before, at the risk of being repetitive. Don't forget, if you're using testosterone, okay, and then you add something that, quote unquote, doesn't convert to estrogen, don't forget, assuming they're both wearing the same pair of tennis shoes, okay, and can get to the AR, the androgen receptor the same way, they get to the cell and affect the DNA. Half the time anavar is getting there, half the time testosterone's getting there. That means half the time testosterone's not getting there, and you have more, if you will, available for conversion into estrogen. And that's where I win bets all the time. I have yet to lose a bet, because somebody will say, doc, I added this to my program. I've got gynecomastia now. I got to get tested for prolactin, because I added decadurabolin, and I'm just sharing with you, and I think that's the problem. Never lost a bet. I've even said I will pay for your labs if I'm wrong. The problem is you need more of the AI, because that's what's happening. Let's say DECA doesn't convert at all. In fact, a little bit of it does, but it's most people think of DECA and prolactin. Never seen it happen. It's that mechanism where but you just displaced. Your baseline testosterone levels and everything that was going along with your baseline. So you've got more available to convert.
Boom.
Boom.
Thanks, Doc.